the child who meets life naturally, the child who sings the world alive and greets the morning sun with glee. Children are real beyond all art. May I see joy's a gift to our heart. I seek the freedom of a child who loves instinctively, who lights our day with just a smile and shines that light on all we see. Children are real beyond all fears. May I see hope's a gift to our tears. I seek the wonder of a child who sees delightfully, no clowns in cloud, no golden sun, imaginations true and free. Children are real beyond our lives. May I see faith's a gift to our eyes.
Good morning. My name is Rick Honenberg, and I serve as president of the Board of Directors of the Unitarian Church of Spartanburg this year. And we want to thank you for joining us via live stream this morning. In cooperation with the global and national health authorities, we have suspended all in-person church activities for the time being. Our care for one another and our community only become more important in times like these. I encourage you to visit our website, www.uucs.org, for ways that you can join in our work. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me, any of our board members, or any of our members of our staff. Our job is to serve you. And allow me to share with you just one announcement. On behalf of the board, we'd like to thank you all for those who made this year such a success. This has been really a most interesting and unusual year, though through our service together, our and your generosity and our teamwork have made an impact in our community and each other's lives that is far, far bigger than our congregational size. This is an incredible congregation, and I want to thank you, every one of you, for all you've done to make this year one of the best on our records. We are glad that you have taken the time to connect with us this morning, especially in times like these. We need each other. Thank you again for being part of our congregation. We are a people of faith and hope, and we welcome you.
Thank you so much for being here. I am filled with gratitude. My name is Melissa Fritsche, and along with my sidekick, Robin Carter, I serve as worship associate to this congregation. And today, I humbly offer a meditation. I would like to thank Rick Honenberg again. This is Rick's last Sunday announcing here as president. He is ending not just a 2-year, but a 4-year stint of board service. This work is sometimes rewarding, usually never easy, and in this past year, it has meant facing questions and challenges that none of us could have imagined. I would like to thank Rick again for his service and recognize that he is relaxing by going on to co-chair our long-range planning committee. We'll need to talk about spending some time in your lair, Rick, after the meditation. I would like to take a moment to honor all of our leaders who are stepping into new positions at a time when, to quote our incoming president, the church is humming. You will get to see some of these new faces here in the service as we continue to keep our services running with what will still be a very, very small crew for the summer. But we may have some new faces as folks from the board, the worship team, and our musicians offer us some variety. Thank you for being here. This Sunday marks the beginning of our summer programming season. Our minister, Scott Neely, has been in the pulpit every single Sunday since we began live streaming. That's 15 Sundays in a row, without a break. I have the dubious honor of being the first to follow him, shoes that I'm not even going to try to fill. But I am grateful to be here because I am grateful to be part of a church who recognizes how to care for its ministers. In the summer, we offer a short sabbatical to our ministers to allow them time for outside study and space for reflection. This year, we offer additionally a much-needed rest. But we as a congregation will also take this time to study and reflect. Your worship team is offering summer programming building on our social justice work, which will launch us into the fall with knowledge and power to continue our mission. I urge you to check out this programming. In the month of July, we are exploring UU Women Heroes, offered by members of our congregation. Women in their own professional fields who inspire their work and ours. It is going to be an exciting month. Thank you for preparing with us for the work ahead. Scott will be back mid-August, no doubt, raring to go.
Good morning. I'm Robin Carter, and I'm delighted to be your worship associate this morning and Mel's sidekick, apparently. Our reading this morning is derived from a 2012 TED Talk by social psychologist Amy Cuddy. Superhero poses can be super powerful. What are these nonverbal expressions of power? They are about expanding. You make yourself big, you stretch out, you take up space. You're basically opening up. The expression, known as pride, arms up, chin lifted, shows that people who are born with sight and people who are born blind do this when they win at a physical competition. When they cross the finish line and they've won, it doesn't matter if they've never seen anyone do it. They do this pose. Powerful people tend to be, not surprisingly, more assertive and more confident, more optimistic. Physiologically, there are differences on two key hormones: testosterone, the dominance hormone, and cortisol, the stress hormone. In Cuddy's study, she had participants do a 2-minute high-power pose, and others do a low-power pose, participating in high-stress situations. The high-power people experienced about a 20% increase in testosterone and a 25% decrease in cortisol. Low power people experienced about a 10% decrease in testosterone and a 15% increase in cortisol. So 2 minutes lead to these hormonal changes that configure your brain to be assertive, confident, and comfortable. It seems that our nonverbals do govern how we think and feel about ourselves. And it's not just others, it's also ourselves. Our bodies change our minds.
Now sing we of the brave of old, who would not sell themselves for gold, yet left us riches manifold. Alleluia, of those who fought a goodly fight for liberty, for truth and right. Their patient love, their chiefest might. Alleluia, who when no gleam did point the way, pressed ever on by night, by day, and spite of pain did ever say, Alleluia, who long the world's old sorrows bore, and toiled and loved and suffered sore, and being dead live evermore. Alleluia.
Our denomination does not have a creed, but we do believe in intentionally choosing how to live together in this world. Our congregation created a covenant that reflects these intentions and describes how we want to be with each other. The words of the covenant are printed in today's order of service found on the homepage of the church website. I invite you to join me now in saying our covenant together. We are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community. Enjoy a moment of silence together. Then you may wish to use this time to connect with each other by sending a text, a quick email, Facebook post, to help remind each other that while we are physically apart, we are still inextricably linked together in our beloved community. Superheroes come in many shapes, sizes, forms, and in a wide range of gifts and talents. We often think of superheroes who perform extraordinary acts of courage in the face of obstacles and challenge. Those who give from an abundance of their skill set. But I'd like to invite you now to join collectively in doing something extraordinary, to reimagine the definition of a superhero. Now is the time when the collective financial giving of this community can support, encourage, and bring much-needed relief to those in need. Your generosity in giving, as you are able, is helping to sustain our congregation and doing some amazing work throughout our nation. This is our last Sunday where the Share the Plate contributions will go to support the Navajo Nation across Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico. This people group is one of the hardest hit by the pandemic. You can step in and help save the day by giving generously. Visit our website at uucs.org and click on the Help to learn more. Also, as we move into the new fiscal year for our congregation starting July 1, I'd like to highlight how you can continue investing in this congregation and growing social justice programs throughout the new ambitious project clusters that were approved during our annual meeting earlier this month. You can give online or simply mail your donations to the church's P.O. Box address to ensure that your pledges and financial gifts continue to support the work of this congregation. Visit our website, again, uucs.org, and click on the Help link to find the link for online giving and the mailing address. We can all be superheroes. Sometimes a little makes the world of difference when it comes just at the right moment. Thank you for your continued generosity.
Like this? Who are you? How did you get here? Last week in his meditation, our minister asked us to consider this question. Sitting at my desk yesterday with a yellow legal pad with the phrase, "How to be a superhero," written across the top of it, I was asking myself this very question. How did I get here? Why am I writing about superheroes? The implication when looking at this title is, I suppose, that I believe myself to be a superhero, and further, that I am somehow qualified to provide instruction and training in this art. Let me reassure you, this is not the case. As I mentioned earlier, we care for our ministers by offering them time to recharge. It is one of the duties of our worship committee to assist in planning our summer programming. Oftentimes, when you are sitting in the room, or in this case, the Zoom, with this wonderful group of folks, you sometimes get caught in the crosshairs, so to speak. Would I like to deliver a meditation on superheroes sometime in the future? Sure, I thought. Why not? Sounds fun. The concept behind my affirmative answer went something like this. Our minister seems to really like superheroes. He may even be a superhero geek. I am not. But over the course of the month, he will provide me with all the information I need. I will research his meditations, learn from his movie recommendations, and by the end of that month, I will have discovered the secret of how to become a superhero. No problem. Here's the amazing thing. Yesterday, locked in my office with my laptop and my notes, I realized that I had. I would like to review what we have learned together. Then, I would like to provide a list of some of the essential superhero trappings. And finally, I am excited to announce that in my preparation, I have found irrefutable proof that this congregation is composed entirely of superheroes. Yes, by the end of this service, I will offer you the astonishing treasure that I have located that proves that the Unitarian Universalist Church of Spartanburg is, in fact, the Justice League. Stay tuned. First, our review. This is what I have learned this month. Why do we like superheroes? We have heard from Marvel Comics creator Stan Lee. He shared, "I see myself in everything I write." Superheroes are appealing not necessarily for their power, but also for their humanity. Superheroes are a mirror of ourselves. It's why this archetype exists. We are fascinated with superheroes because it gives us a way of exploring ourselves, both our power and our lack of power. And about power. Where does power come from? 3 sources were identified. There is innate power. How can we forget the phrase that we learned from our beloved minister? Because you exist, you are a badass. I don't guess if he didn't get in trouble, I will get in trouble for saying that. There is learned power, the skills that you are trained for. This might be skills used in your professional life. It might be learning how to skateboard, to sail through the neighborhood to your hideaway. It might be the simple things you learn just to be a human being on this planet. But finally, there is the one I want to spend some time with. The idea that we get power from our wounds. This develops, we learned, when we learn how to cope with the wound to grow, not to let it take us down. Certainly wounds can, but when they don't, therein lies the potential. When we realize that we can use the teachings of superheroes to explore who we are and examine our various sources of power, we can take that knowledge and grow, becoming superheroes ourselves. That was the review. Now I would like to move on to a list of 4 items I believe may be essential to any superhero. Feel free to take notes. There is actually no scientific data harmed in the making of my essentials list. First, let's talk about costumes. This, it seems to me, is an absolute essential for any good superhero. Think about Halloween. You don't see trick-or-treaters come dressed as Peter Parker or Carol Danvers or Diana. They come to you in the full regalia, the capes, the wrist cuffs, the bodysuits. This is the true joy of playing your favorite superhero, dressing the part. I would argue that any good superhero needs some kind of costume. We have been provided various reference movies for our homework this month. My favorite superhero movie is Incredibles 2. I know, who likes the sequel better than the original? They're both great, but I will tell you why you need to watch Incredibles 2 in a moment. However, if you are interested in superhero costumes, it is essential that you watch the scholarly discussion by renowned superhero costume designer Edna Mode in the first movie, which clarifies capes or no capes. Judy Allen, in particular, will want to check this out. So costumes. What is your costume? I don't really have to tell you, do I? I think Scott Neely covered that pretty well last week. I hope that you had the opportunity to check out Into the Spider-Verse. I will requote Miles Morales. Anyone can wear the mask. Anyone. Here at UUCS, the real-life superheroes I know, too numerous to name, do. Not only do we wear masks, we provide them for anyone who wants to be a superhero. And I would add, we did this long before it was mandated. Okay, so you have your costume. The second thing you need is a lair. What is this? Why am I using this word? A lair is a refuge, a place for hiding. It is also defined most commonly as the resting or living place of a wild animal. What is a superhero? A wild animal is probably a pretty good description. Think about the superhero myths: the Batcave, Wonder Woman's Paradise Island, the various laboratories, the halls, the clubhouses, places to be in secret, places to rest. Why do superheroes need to rest? Because let's make no mistake, superhero work is hard. Learn to rest. I am acquainted with a real-life superhero named Shadow Tortoise. She is a very young superhero, just beginning to explore her powers. I am fortunate enough to have the opportunity to mentor this young superhero. Young superheroes are always interesting to observe as they begin testing and learning what it is they can do. Already this year, we have studied the phrase, "With great power comes great responsibility." We have modified this to understand that with any power comes responsibility, and we have learned to be careful that our power is used only for good. But I've been interested to watch this young superhero recently building her lair. She and her sidekick, more on these in just a moment, have discovered a very secret location that I am not allowed to talk about or bring another one of my friends to. I have already been severely admonished. They have a location near some water, in some woods, with a secret entrance. They have been clearing, cleaning, building benches, and now they have their lair. They go there as a place of refuge to explore their power and, I expect, to get away from parents and siblings. Lairs are important. Where is yours? One of my lairs is a rock in the middle of a mini waterfall on a lightly traveled trail in the mountains. But another lair, another place of refuge, has taken on a more virtual feel lately. I am privileged to be physically in this space today. This space that provides so much comfort and safety to so many. And I am deeply grateful for the team who continues to provide our congregation access to its lair. This sanctuary, this place where we do not have to be good, but where we can let the soft animal of our bodies love what it loves, and every single week can be recharged. We come next to item number 3, sidekicks. It seems to me that every superhero needs a good sidekick. Think about it. Batman has one. There's the Wonder Twins, a favorite from my childhood. And let's not forget Lucy and Peppermint Patty, an odd couple that came up in my Google search for the word sidekick. Sidekicks are important. We learned about this in a whole joint meditation on teamwork. What is the role of a superhero's sidekick? I would argue it is to allow that superhero to stretch beyond her own powers. The sidekick allows the superhero to be not just good, but truly great. How can this happen? How can you take someone else and magnify their powers? Let's look at some real-life examples. I am so grateful to my own sidekick today, Robin. Wait a minute. Robin, that's been done before, hasn't it? Okay. Anyway, my sidekick Robin knew that I had had a tough week of work and said to me, "Hey, can I help find readings for the service?" And I said, "Yes, please." And she did. And the thing is, not only did she check that box, but the readings she found helped shape my learning again and developed this service further than what I had imagined on my own. Indeed, she is also in part responsible for research on the superhero names to follow. Let's look at some other real-life superhero examples. I know a superhero. We'll call him by his given superhero name, the Atomic Equalizer. He happens to work as a minister. And he was a pretty good minister, doing the usual minister things, until along came a worldwide pandemic, made worse again by manifestation after manifestation of hate, racism, and greed in this country. He was about to be in over his head, fighting for the things he knew in his heart he must. But here's the thing. As fate would have it, he had been provided with a sidekick. Or had she been provided with a sidekick? I don't know. We can explore that later. The presence of his sidekick, the well-known Professor Justice, allowed this superhero to rise to the work that needed to be done. She supported him, he supported her, and together they helped lead us to our new work here in the halls of social justice. Just a word about our ministers and their lair. We have released them for the summer. They have gone to their respective lairs. Apparently, they still have access to Facebook there, but they are supposedly in their lairs. They are, we hope, resting. They are restoring their powers. I ask you, admittedly, as someone who needs to remember to rest more often than I do, to allow them rest. We need them back, fully charged for the battles ahead. And if you need me to repeat those superhero names again, they are the Atomic Equalizer and Professor Justice. Feel free to use them. This brings me to number 4 on my list, the fight. Every superhero needs a fight. What are you fighting for? What are you fighting against? What battles do you face every day? One of my favorite real-life superheroes, who goes by the pretty conventional superhero name, Super Stan, knows about battles. My friend Super Stan is a black man living in the South. He is, frankly, lucky to be alive. He has grown up in a system riddled with racism and injustice, but he is a survivor. He has survived the mass incarceration of his brethren. And most recently, he continues to survive a chronic disease which I would argue was shaped and made possible by the very forces that seek to oppress him and his brothers. The disease of addiction. A vicious, life-threatening villain like few others. He really shouldn't be alive, given what he has lived through. But here is the thing about Stan. Not only is he alive, but he is making the very best of every single day he is given. Stan is an amazing person to know. His outlook on life inspires me. He has taught me more than any single source about addiction and how one lives with this chronic disease. He has informed and supported my medical practice in ways that have made it better than I could have done on my own. Truly, he is one of my sidekicks. But aside from just surviving this disease, he spends the better part of his day helping others live with this disease. Super Stan uses his superhero communication device both to hold himself accountable in his own recovery, but even more so to support the recovery of others. If you happen to be on Stan's text list, he will text you daily. Typically, this involves an emoji-laden sequence, which is always open to some interpretation. But every single day involves a check on you and your fate in life. If you are down, he will send you a picture or a quote, or he will pick up the phone and call you. If you are yourself in recovery, he will sponsor you. He will make sure you can get to a meeting, online or in person, and he will remind you that someone in this world cares about what happens to you today. Thank you, Super Stan. Let's talk about wounds. Stan's power comes from his wound. But he, in true superhero fashion, has taken that wound and grown it into his very strength. Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider. Bruce Wayne was led to superhero work after watching the murder of his parents. Captain Marvel gained her powers from an explosion. She probably should not have survived, but it only made her stronger. Wounds can define us. Wounds can lay us down. That which doesn't kill us can make us stronger. But this is never easy work. However, it is the work we are currently called to do. We are living through a time of complete and utter brokenness. It is time to examine our wounds and, as my friend Super Stan did his own, figure out how to make them work. This is a practice. After over a decade my superhero yogi has finally been able to get through to her reluctant pupil what life as a practice means. It means not getting it right every day. It means struggle. It means some days feeling like lying on your mat curled up in child's pose is the very best you have to offer the world. And allowing that to be true. But it means also living a life of intention. Becoming a superhero is simply about living a life of intention. If you wish to live as a superhero, simply tell yourself each and every morning, as my friend Stan does, that just for today, I will live my best. A brief note before my conclusion. You need to watch Incredibles 2. There are many, many good things about this movie: the power of moms, families working together, good defeating evil, etc. But what you really need to watch for is the raccoon fight. That's all I'm going to say about that. I offered at the beginning of this talk that after careful study of superheroes and listing all the superhero essentials, I have found proof that you are a superhero. Let's define a few things. You means you if you are listening to my voice. Maybe you are a member or friend of this church, or maybe you find yourself in this space accidentally for some unrelated reason, listening to my voice. Whatever the reason why you are here, you are now a superhero. How do I know this? Let's review my criteria. You have a costume. You have a lair. You are currently, no matter where you are physically located in this moment, surrounded by a community who knows that you are filled with inherent worth and dignity. That you exist and are therefore a badass. And now that we're talking, that you are a superhero. You are in your virtual lair right now. More of your virtual lair can be experienced by going to YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, or engaging your own personal superhero communication device to engage with any one of your sidekicks. Because number 3, this community is a community of sidekicks. We are here to lift one another up. We are here to engage our hearts and our minds and see how we can bring out the best in ourselves, in each other, and in the world. And number 4, we have a fight. Here's the amazing thing. We don't even have a single fight. Here in the halls of social justice, we have willfully chosen not 1 fight, but 4. more information on our website if you don't know what I'm talking about. So it's clear to me that you meet my superhero criteria. But I told you that I had proof. Proof that we belong to an elite league of superheroes. Words carved in an ancient stone that I located on the internet that show us not only who we are and why we are here, but who we will become if we face our wounds and realize our power. I will share them with you as our benediction.
She has seen all the meaner side of me. They took away the prophet's dream for a prophet on the street. Now she's stronger than you know. A heart of steel starts to grow. All his life he's been told he'll be nothing when he's old. All the kicks and all the blows, he won't ever let it show. 'Cause he's stronger. Steel starts to grow when you've been fighting for it all your life. You've been struggling to make things right. That's how a superhero learns to fly. When you're fighting for it all your life, you've been working every day and night. That's how a superhero learns to fly. Tears that they cry when the moment is just right, you'll see fire in their eyes. 'Cause he's stronger than you know. A heart of steel starts to grow when you've been fighting for it all your life. You've been struggling to make things right. That's how a superhero learns to fly. When you've been fighting for it all your life, you've been working every day and night. That's how a superhero learns to fly. She's got lions in her heart, a fire in her soul. He's got a beast in her belly that's so hard to control. 'Cause they've taken too much hits, taken blow by blow. Now light a match, stand back, watch him explode. She's got lions in her heart, a fire in her soul. He's got a beast in his belly that's so hard to control. 'Cause they've taken too much hits, taken blow by blow. Now light a match, stand back, watch him explode. You've been fighting for it all your life. You've been struggling to make things right. That's how a superhero learns to fly. When you've been fighting for it all your life, you've been working every day and night. That's how a superhero learns to fly. Struggling to make things right. That's how a superhero learns to fly.
More borrowed from social psychologist Amy Cuddy and modified to fit our purposes this morning. Develop the power of a superhero. Let's end where we began, thinking about superhero poses. Our bodies change our minds, and our minds change our behavior, and our behavior can change our outcomes. You may be thinking it feels fake. We've all heard fake it till you make it, and no one wants to feel like a fraud or an imposter. So, don't fake it till you make it. Fake it till you become it. Do it enough until you actually become it and internalize. Tiny tweaks can lead to big changes. So this is 2 minutes to develop the power of a superhero. Get your testosterone up, get your cortisol down. Don't leave any situation feeling like, oh, I didn't show them who I am. Leave feeling like I really got to say who I am and show who I am. A superhero.
In my research for this meditation, I have located the ancient call that brought together the superheroes who make up this layer, the halls of social justice. I am going to invite you now to stand in your home in the superhero power pose, perhaps don your costume, and with me and my sidekick Robin, recite our call to service. Stand even if you think you might not know it. You will find that the words will come to you if you take the right pose and focus your power. We are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. Thank you.
We have spent time together, and these holy moments give us strength to go down the winding road until we meet again. We have spent